Continuing our visit with some of the most interesting people in Pittsburgh, I take note of this man. In a medium where attention spans are shrinking and violence levels are rising, he remains a voice of calm. His Emmy Award-winning Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood has influenced 3 generations of viewers. It is the longest-running children's program on television. As he prepares to celebrate 30 years on the air, he is also being honored by his peers with a Lifetime Achievement Award at next week's Daytime Emmys. I am pleased to be here with him now on his home turf. Fred Rogers, welcome to my program.
And welcome to our neighborhood, Charlie.
Oh, thank you. This really is your neighborhood. Not only Pittsburgh, not only this station, but this studio right next door is where you tape your program.
Yes, we were taping, we were doing some editing and music dubbing this whole day. And so I just walked from that studio into yours.
I got a lot to talk about and not enough time. 30 years. For you, what does it mean to be on the air with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? What's the legacy for you?
Well, I've always hoped that we'd be able to say to children that they matter, that they count, and that there was something of value that resides within them. You know, I have a little plaque beside my chair upstairs in the office that says, "What is essential is invisible to the eye." That may sound like something strange for somebody who works in television, but the older I get, the more important I know that is.
Why is it important?
Because what we see is rarely what is essential. What's behind your face is what's essential. We've had a friend who was one of the highest-ranking African-American women executives in Pittsburgh who had supposedly everything. And she committed suicide a week or so ago. And people have been thinking, what was it? What was it that we didn't know about our friend? And there are times that people just can't share what is essential within them.
What do you think you didn't know? What do you think you didn't know about her?
We didn't know what it was that was making her lonely.
You didn't know? Mm-hmm. Do you feel in a case like that? I remember when I was an undergraduate at Duke University, and I was taking a class near the chapel, and someone jumped off the top of the chapel to commit suicide. And we were the first to arrive, and it was an awful scene. And young 18, 19-year-old students, the professor brought us back in, and we had a conversation about what we'd seen. And he said to me, to us, "Do you think if somebody this morning had stopped and had a cup of coffee with that person, it might have made a difference? Might some have expressed something that said to them, you matter, you make a difference, you're important?"
Well, we'll know when we get to heaven. But I do think that one of the things that our whole world needs to be able to work on more are ways to deal with anger. And I have a little letter in this
Tell me about the book before you go to the letter. This is, Dear Mr. Rogers, Does It Ever Rain in Your Neighborhood? A collection of letters written to you.
By children and families. But this one said, the baby came to live at my house. I like her sometimes. Sometimes I want to sock her. And we talked with this boy's name was Taylor, and he was 3 years old at that time. And we talked with him about what it means to be able to say that you're angry. I mean, he was able to do that with his family. And I wrote back and told him that playing the piano loud and swimming very fast helped me with my mad feelings. And I want you to know he is now a teenager, and he wrote to us the other day and said, "I totally took your advice, Mr. Rogers. I swim on the swim team and play the piano." I was so proud of that.
And how many kids do you think are out there who in 30 years you've influenced, who you've made a difference in and made them feel something special?
I don't care how many, even if it's just one. We get so wrapped up in numbers in our society, and the most important thing is that we're able to be one-to-one, you and I, with each other at the moment. If we can be present to the moment with the person that we happen to be with at the moment, that's what's important.
I couldn't agree more. Let me go back to because all of us know of Fred Rogers at the Neighborhood. You talked about what's essential is what you can't see. What can't we see about you that's essential to you, to understanding you?
Well, you can't see my my spiritual life unless you ask me about it. You don't see my family life unless you ask me about it. I mean, it seems to me, Charlie, that the things that are center stage are rarely the things that are the most important. It's usually what happens over in the wings. It's usually what happens out in the hall beside the piano when a family from the Philippines comes up and talks with me.
And knows you.
Yeah. Isn't it with you?
Yes.
I mean, isn't it with somebody on an elevator rather than when you're in the spotlight?
What have you learned from the kids?
Practically everything.
Like what?
How to know that it's all right to say what comes to your mind right away. I mean,
before the protective mechanisms take hold of you.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus said to the people around him, "Please let the little children come up here. I want to learn from them." He might not have said those words, but I think that's what he meant. I want to be involved with these innocent people who make up the kingdom of heaven.
You seem to be the calmest person I know. Soft-spoken. You have a quality that is reassuring. I mean, is that the way your entire being is? At the center of Fred, there is this stability, this sense of self, this sense of mission, this sense of calmness, because you know who you are, you know, you're sure about the connection to your God.
I get up every morning, at least by 5, have a couple hours of quiet time, reflect about what it is that is important.
Before you get on with the business of the day.
Before I go swimming. And then the business of the day. But what do you think we can do, those of us who are purveyors of this television medium? What can we do to encourage people to have more quiet in their lives, to more silence? Real revelation comes through silence.
You know, speaking of that, I saw a thing quite apart from our conversation, but about silence. There was a story the other day from Japan about how a number, more than one, and certainly more than a few, of very, very successful business executives had left the tumult of that life to go into a monastery, and they talked with several of them for the quiet. They spend their day doing quiet things, praying, and found more joy because in that silence they had found something that gave them more meaning in their life than all the acquisitions and all of the pleasures of the other life.
Well, do you get enough quiet, or do you get some quiet? And
I get
you,
some, but
you
no,
go
yeah,
all over
no.
the place. You know, you're in everybody's neighborhood.
Yes, I think I go too fast, probably, and I should slow down. And you know, they used to say, "Slow down and smell the rose." I don't do enough. I'm certainly not as centered as you are, and I can only look at you with a certain amount of envy and also admonishment too, because there is something to be admired about the kind of life that you have lived. Mine is more frenetic, and I'm much more about sort of gulping in as much of it as I can find. I want to see everything, do everything, feel everything. I mean, I'm a hopeless case.
No, you're an enthusiastic man, and that's why people like to be. I mean, I talked with somebody the other day who said, "I am addicted to Charlie Rose."
Oh, bless them.
Yeah.
What did you say? Did you say?
I said I know him, and he's one of the easiest people to talk with.
Did you say that?
I did say that. But what's essential about you?
I sense. I mean, I think. See what he's doing to me. He's turning this around, isn't he? What is essential about me is some sense of making a difference and having a satisfying life that is not only one that has some sense of value and integrity at its core, but also has some sense of connection to a larger world that makes a difference, so that you can, at the end of the day, hopefully have made the difference in your life and in somebody else's life, either because you touch them with a story, or you touch them because you recognize their sense of excellence and their sense of quality. So, you know, if you can do that in a small way, you know, and the wonderful thing about you and I, we have the opportunity, in a sense, a window, you know, to talk and to recognize and to, in a sense, speak. We have a...
But have you ever known anybody who was really satisfied or happy who had never made a difference in somebody else's life?
No, no. And I tell you what, the other thing I do, I find that among the people I know lots of high-flying people, you know, in a variety of worlds, and both who think about the country. And most people that I know want to do something that's larger than themselves. They want all kinds of achievements and acquisitions, and they want to be recognized and to take the benefit of their talent. But at the same time, they want to do something larger than their life. And they want, frequently, something that's larger than their life to affect, you know, their community, their neighborhood, their country, their world.
Well, I know that when I walk out of the studio someday and there is a child who has Down syndrome,
right,
for instance, and that child comes up and gives me a hug, I know that that's the field that I want to be growing in, because I see that people who are not the fancy people in this world are the ones who seem to nourish my soul. And I want to learn how to be the best receiver that I can ever be, because I think graceful receiving is one of the most wonderful gifts we can give anybody. If we receive what somebody gives us in a graceful way, we've given that person, I think, a wonderful gift.
You are quite remarkable. Thank you for coming to my program and letting me come to your neighborhood.
Thank you, Charlie.
Fred Rogers, one of the prides of this great city, Pittsburgh. We'll be right back. Stay with us.